Thank you, Robin. Thank you, New York Green Party, for leading the charge for an America and a world that works for all of us. I'm thinking back to 4 years ago when I was here for your nominating convention, I think. No, actually, it was even before that. Maybe it was 5 years ago, before the nominating convention. And we were just considering the idea of a run for president. And we went ahead with that in 2012. And we had an absolutely incredible reception. I came away from that race understanding that there is a rebellion in full swing out there. And we are continuing to ride that rebellion now. As Greens, we have been ahead of the curve on clean energy, on nonviolent conflict resolution, on the right to health care as a human right, on Black Lives Matter as a core issue for us as the Green Party, on education as a human right, and the right to higher education, which should be provided for free. We have been ahead of the curve on equal marriage and the LGBT rights. We have been ahead of the curve on opposing pipelines and fracking, and thanks to Howie Hawkins for having challenged Governor Cuomo 5 years ago to establish that ban on fracking. Thanks to the principled New York Green Party, you have been leading the way, not only for the Green Party, but I think challenging the nation. Not only that we need a nationwide ban on fracking, we need a nationwide ban on fossil fuels altogether. And I have to thank you here in the New York Green Party for having given me the courage and the support to have started challenging the system back in 2012 and to be continuing that. In so many ways, the New York Green Party has really forged the pathway for the Greens, for a party of racial justice and climate justice and justice for workers. And I have to give a special thanks again to Howie Hawkins for having developed and helped forge our joint agenda that brought together the agenda for workers' justice together with the agenda for climate justice. I think this is a central challenge right now, is to overcome this divide and conquer mentality that tells us we can have either a healthy and sustainable environment or we can have jobs. The reality is we can only have these together, and that's why our campaign is calling for a Green New Deal to create 20 million jobs and the right to a job that will transform our energy system, our food system to create a healthy, local, sustainable food supply, as well as the energy system, which is 100% wind, water, and sun, and to call for a revolution in our transportation system so that it is public and energy powered by clean, renewable, and efficient energy, and to call for restoring our infrastructure, including our ecosystems. It has really been the New York Green Party and Howie's campaign that helped forge that agenda, which we are lifting up now, which the American people are clamoring for. So really my first point is one of gratitude to everyone in the New York Green Party, and especially those who've kept the party running. Gloria Matira and Michael O'Neill in particular, and Peter Lavinia and Mark Dunley and Ursula Rosem. We owe you such a debt of gratitude for creating this very strong party that has really helped us in Massachusetts, and I think helped Green parties all over the country define what it is that we're about and what this incredible moment is. And in my remaining time, I just want to tell you how incredibly exciting it is to be out on the campaign trail right now, where our events are really being mobbed by young people, by people who've never been involved in politics before, by working people who feel like now is the time, now is the time right now for jobs, for the right to a job, and for living wages. And again, a thank you to New York City for adopting a living wage standard here for the $15 minimum wage here in California, here in New York, like in California, like in Seattle, leading the way. And I have been flipping from coast to coast right now. I often don't know which coast I'm waking up on today, so pardon me if I'm thinking West Coast here for a moment. But it's very exciting that from coast to coast, people are realizing this is unlike any other time right now. We have a crisis in our jobs, a crisis in healthcare that people cannot afford, even when they have health insurance. We have a crisis with the climate. We've heard from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration just 2 weeks ago. They just got an oh my God report that the West Antarctic is breaking up faster than anything ever predicted, except for what Jim Hansen showed in his report 1 year ago. And this basically affirmed we can expect to see as much as 9 feet of sea level rise or more as soon as 2050 if we don't fundamentally turn things around. We've got these massive expanding wars. We have the attack on immigrants and immigrant rights. We have deportation campaigns and night raids being carried on right now. People talk about how scary Donald Trump is, but it's really important to remember that what Donald Trump says, Hillary Clinton, for the most part, has already done. And that includes deporting immigrants, because it's the Democrats, in fact, who are conducting night raids, deportations, and detentions. And it was Hillary Clinton's policies as Secretary of State who helped create this wave of refugees from Honduras in particular, from having given the thumbs up to that corporate coup in Honduras, and then having said, sorry, you can't come here, women and children, you need to go home. So we are in an existential moment right now, teetering on the brink of an economy that could collapse again, a climate which is in collapse right now, and a massive expanding wars. This is really the time for us to stand up. That politics of fear, that lesser evilism, the politics of fear that goes with that, actually delivered everything we were afraid of. This is the only thing they can use against us, is the fear of Donald Trump, because the public supports what we are calling for. And it's important to stand up to that lesser evilism and to say that, in fact, it's time to forget the lesser evil and fight for the greater good, like our lives depend on it, because they do. We actually can create this world that we want. The lesser evil, in fact, creates the greater evil. What has powered Donald Trump and his rise but the policies of Hillary and Bill Clinton? The deregulation of Wall Street and the meltdown that caused, the displacement of workers, 9 million jobs that went up in smoke, 5 million homes that were stolen out from under people, and NAFTA and the deportation of our jobs. This is what lesser evilism brings, and it brings a right-wing reaction. Putting another Clinton in the White House is only going to fan the flames of the right-wing revolt and the support for the likes of Donald Trump. It's time for us to forget the lesser evil, to stand up for what we deserve, for jobs, for everyone, for living wages, for the rights to a union, to end Black lives, the abuse of Black lives, and make sure that Black lives matter, to end police violence, to ensure we have a right to health care and education as human rights, and a foreign policy based on international law and human rights, and to end the abuse of those human rights by the countries we are supporting, including the Netanyahu government and including Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Our foreign policy has been a disaster that's blowing back at us. We need a foreign policy based on human rights and and international law. So this is the world we can create. As Alice Walker said, the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. Final comment, there are 43 million young people and not so young people locked into predatory student loan debt. There's only one way to fix that, and you're looking at it right here. That is enough to win a presidential race. 43 million people. Don't let them tell you, not for 1 minute, we are not powerless, we are not hopeless. In fact, we are in charge here. 43 million plus can come out and take over this election and win back an America and a future that works for all of us. A world that puts people, planet, and peace over profit. The power to create that world is not just in our hopes and dreams. It's right here, right now. It's in the New York Green Party. It's in this presidential election coming up. Support my campaign. Let's do our work. We've been ahead of the curve. The curve caught up to us. Now is our time. Together we are unstoppable. Let's make it happen. Thank you so much.